Oh no!
Hello again, everyone. I'm Germain. Welcome to INFOcus People and Places. Got a jam-packed, literally a jam-packed show for you today. We are going to take a ride on the bus. Addison County's free public transportation system is flourishing, and we're going to find out all about it from the man behind the scenes, the one directing it all, Jim Moulton. He has invited us to take a little trip around Middlebury. So we'll be doing that coming up in just a little bit. John White from Vites and Herbs going to come back on the program and talk a little bit about a berry that has been discovered in South America that, my goodness, it's going to make all our lives better if we all partook of it. And we're going to find out about why we should know more about the acai berry. So coming up with John White in just a bit. Barbara Harding as well joining us from the Addison County Chamber of Commerce. Busy time of year for her and the staff there at the chamber. We're going to talk marketing, what they are saying about Addison County when those people call from down south that want to come up to our area. What are they telling them on the phone or on the internet? So we're going to find out as we go behind the scenes with the Addison County Chamber of Commerce and our pal Barbara Harding. So a jam-packed show coming up next. We are going to talk about the acai berry with John White from Vites and Herbs. It's a very interesting berry. We're going to find out what it can do for us, what it is doing for people now, and why you should know more about it, and why doctors, well, they're afraid to hear about it. All coming up next on a very interesting, eclectic program right here in Focus, People and Places. But first, these messages.
Hello from Millsley Public Library. My name is David Clark, and here's a little bit about what you can find at the library during the holiday season this year. We, of course, have a lot of books on let me start again.
Is it for this week?
What I can do is, what is today? The 12th. 11. I have enough here to do I'll do at least 2. Maybe I can squeeze out 3.
All right.
Okay, start again. Hello from Millsley Public Library. My name is David Clark, and I'd like to share with you today some of the things that are going on here at the library this month. Of course, as we enter the holiday season, one of the things that is very popular around here, at least, is our Christmas cookies. We love to eat them, and we love to make them. And there are a lot of ideas that we have here in the library. We have books that have everything from white chocolate chunk cookies to magazines that have a lot of holiday recipes. This, for instance, is Country Home. All of our magazines can be loaned, and of course, magazines like this are chock full of good recipes. We also have a lot of DVDs and movies of the holiday films. There's been the Christmas Carol, for instance, has been filmed a number of times over the years. We've got old classics like It's a Wonderful Life, and we've got the new ones such as Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. They come in DVDs, they come in videos. They're all sorts of things. And of course, for those of you who are driving a lot or like to just putter around the house and listen while you do other things, we have a lot of books on disc and books on CD. This is a one called Finding Noel by Richard Paul Evans. This one is on DVD with or CD with the CDs right in the box. These all go out. These go out for 3 weeks. The movies and videos go out for 3 days. Another thing that's happening, we are going to be starting countywide in January 1, a new program called the Imagination Library. And this is a wonderful program that is available for all kids living in Addison County below the age of 5. That a book will be sent to their home, addressed to them, for them to keep. All you need to do is register at any public library in town. A lot of the churches, a lot of the town offices, pediatricians have these applications. It's a wonderful program that we expect will be bringing books into hundreds of families throughout the county starting next year. And that's it for this week at Ilsley Public Library. We'd like to wish you all best wishes for the holiday. We have our hours, which are on the screen here in front of you. We are open every day at 10 o'clock, and we stay open until 6 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But we're open late on Tuesday and Thursday until 8 o'clock. And Saturday we close a little early at 4, and we are open Sundays from 1 to 4. If you'd like to see more about what we have in the collection, you can check our catalog out at www.ilsleypubliclibrary.org or give us a call, 388-4095. Our best wishes from the entire staff to you and yours, and for the new year, may it be filled with lots of good reading.
John White, thanks for coming in from Vites and Herbs here in Middlebury.
Yep, glad to be here.
All about alternative medicines.
Mm-hmm.
What are so great about these, and why is this area? Before we get into the specific berry that we're going to talk about today, the acai berry and its benefits, talk about something that is exploding on the natural and alternative medicine scene right now. Talk about the world of alternative medicines.
Well, it's exciting because basically it's natural, okay? When they make the drugs and all that, generally they're using things like this, the acai berry, all kinds of different berries, leaves, plants, even trees, roots. They're using those as the base to find out what works.
Right.
They even find out from shaman and all that kind of stuff. But years and years of history of science and medicine, and they make it synthetically. Right. So what we're just doing is selling everything natural. It's still in its natural form, which means toxicity is going to be very minimal, if any, and the science is there. It goes back much further than modern drugs.
And really not much different. I mean, it's not too far removed from its natural state.
That's right. That's right. And, that's the key, is being in its natural state and not adding chemicals and all that the body doesn't want. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we need the drugs. They have some life-saving stuff, and that's when it's needed.
Right.
Antibiotics especially. But long-term, drugs, I see it time and time again. People just get worse and worse when a lot of times they could have done something natural, and they do, and they get better. I see it daily. So everybody seems to be picking up on it. And I'm sure we're going to see some drastic changes in quote-unquote healthcare.
Well, let's get to the subject at hand, which is the acai berry. I'm learning about this now. You're still learning about it. You've only dealt with it for just a few months now.
Yeah. It's new to me as well.
It's one, I understand, of the 3 top health superfoods right now. Mm-hmm. It's shot right up there. Doctors don't want people to know about this because it's working. Mm-hmm. It's so good. Mm-hmm. Tell us all about the acai berry.
Well, basically, it's just like a grape. And you can see maybe through the bottle here the dark purple the deep purple tint to it, and it's basically the shape of a grape. It's not as pulpy, but it's going to be dozens, something like 30 times more potent than a grape as far as its antioxidant properties.
Wow.
They call that ORAC value, which is basically the rate at what it oxidizes free radicals in the system. And as far as science can tell, it's the strongest product, natural supplement, food, whatever you want to, whatever form you get it in, on the planet as far as ORAC value.
Yeah, I guess one of the quotes I've heard somebody say is that it's the most nutritionally dense of any fruit in the world.
Yeah, well, it's almost like it's a food, not just a fruit, because it basically has the properties similar to an egg as far as proteins, which is almost as high as you can get as far as net protein utilization. It's not going to have as much quantity-wise, but as far as 80-90% usability of protein amino acids, similar to an egg. And then it has your omega-3, 6, and 9, which is the complete balance of all your omegas, your fatty acids for joint health, heart disease, all the above. I'm sure everybody's getting pretty familiar with all that nowadays too. And then it also contains fiber, and it contains a carbohydrate that is very, very low and with the glycemic index. So even diabetic, some people with bad sugar or low blood sugar, they should be able to use this. It's something that they'd want to test and maybe even check with their doctor, because they need to know about it. They need to know that people with sugar can probably handle this stuff, and it's probably going to be really good for them.
We should mention this is native to tropical Central and South America, from Belize south to Brazil and Peru, growing in the mainly in the floodplains and swamps down there. And I would imagine that the people down there are just almost inhumanly healthy.
That's what I hear, and I've met people who've lived in Brazil too, and they're very familiar with it. It's huge down there. I mean, now it's becoming a fad, but it's been used for centuries, maybe even longer down there by the natives. And, they use it anywhere nowadays with the mainstream, the quote-unquote fad. They're using it in ice creams and,
I know.
and
I was
smoothies.
reading about that.
Yeah, cereals, you name it. Probably toothpaste before we know it. But I even see it in, the little emergency packets now, the energy drinks.
Right.
So it's going to hit here, and it's already hitting here big. The problem is transporting it here and keeping it fresh. Because of the enormously high ORAC value, it also devalues very quickly after it's picked, just like most vegetables, but or raw foods. But this one extremely fast, and that's why one of the highest and most recommended products of the acai is the Mona V, because they have a facility down there in, I believe it's Brazil, where they take it off the tree and they freeze dry it right there on the spot.
Wow.
So that it's keeping the ORAC value at its highest for transport and resale, thousands of miles away, where most of it is coming up just juiced in big blocks, basically frozen. Ice cubes, and it's not stored properly, and it loses a lot of its ORAC. So that's why you see huge price differences in some of the the acai products. And believe it or not, this is truly a case where you get where your money goes. What am I trying to say? You get what you pay for.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. The products that I have that are quote unquote generic are literally half the price of the Mona V. They pretty much work half as good too. So, and I've seen that from customer after customer, and myself too. I noticed that I had to use more of the other. So, not scientific, but if you look at the science now, you can see why. The other isn't freeze dried.
This, John, I think you would agree, this has to be like the find of a lifetime, or something that comes around once in a lifetime. Reading up on this, it boosts your energy, as you mentioned. It improves your digestive functions. Mental clarity improves, enhances sleep, And you know, men out there with sexual dysfunctions, this has got to get your attention. It has been called the Viagra of the Amazon. So this is powerful stuff.
Yeah, it's because it's such a strong antioxidant. You know, all those problems you mentioned, lack of sleep, sex drive, digestion, arthritis, things like that, it all happens because we get loaded with toxins, basically.
Yeah.
And this has helped flushing them out. It's bringing more oxygen to your cells. It's increasing the hydrochloric acid in the stomach, which, believe it or not, that's what most of us need to do. Mm-hmm. Most of the drugs out there and conventional medicine tell you the opposite, but usually it's the complete opposite of what they say. You need more stomach acid, and this is a natural way to help stimulate that without aggravating if there was any ulceration or anything like that. It shouldn't aggravate that either, which is truly amazing because there's only a few products in the world that I know of that do that. Aloe would be another one of them. But a lot of the other man-made stuff, no, you wouldn't be able to improve digestion with ulceration because, you know, it would aggravate it. So it's up there with, it's a keeper, let's put it that way. You know, it's once in a lifetime find for us, I believe. You know, I'd put it at the level of ginkgo, aloe, as far as just incredibly powerful and healthy for the human body in every aspect.
Man cannot live on the acai berry alone. I mean, this should be used in conjunction with other things?
Well, yeah.
Or does this stand on its own?
Well, I guess it could if you were really healthy.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really healthy, I mean, for its price, if you're going to get the pricey stuff here,
yeah.
You know, you're going to spend $40, $50 a month by yourself.
Mm.
You know, you got a family or somebody else is doing it, you're going to spend twice as much. So it's quite an investment. And if you're a very healthy person, you could just use this as a sole supplement for a while. yeah, I could
try
see
it for
that.
a while, see how it works.
Me, no, I have to add all kinds of other stuff too.
All right, it's time for John White to get on his soapbox now, and we've had you on here before talking about the FDA, the government, all the rules and regulations and fine print and red tape and everything. What is their take on this? I mean, as we mentioned earlier, they say this is the stuff doctors do not want to know about because, I mean, we're never going to eliminate the world of doctors or hospitals or anything like that.
We don't want to.
No, but, you know, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
What is the government's take on it?
As far as I know, the FDA hasn't said anything about it. But I do know the government of Brazil uses it for cancer therapies. Mm-hmm. University of Florida did a study in 2006 on leukemia, and it worked. Okay, so there is a medical backing of it, and I wouldn't be surprised if our government, the FDA, or one of the USDA, somebody jumps on the bandwagon because it is technically a food. Okay. And they generally don't have a problem making claims with foods. You know, if you got a food, they're going to jump on the bandwagon. You know, we eat more vegetables than the whole world, all right? Too many, actually. But no problem making claims with all that stuff because the government gets right behind that. So, you know,
as long as they're not losing any bucks, hurting themselves, they're okay with it.
Yeah. Well, they're going to promote food. Well, being that it's not grown here, it might not be, you know, as taken to as broccoli and spinach and, you know, good old American staples. But I don't see as why they'd have a problem with it because even being sold in a supplement form, it's still in its food form. Right. Even if I'm seeing it in tablets now and capsules, it's still in its food form. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing that's against what they want to consider normal and healthy. You know, they're RDAs.
Now, is it only available in health food stores, natural health food stores?
That's all I've seen it so far. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see more mainstream, you know, cereals and yogurt companies and all that having more of that, or having the acai in there. Which of course should be found in grocery stores, pharmacies, all that. Haven't seen it so far, but I expect it to because it's going to be big.
Why is it taking so long to get to us? Something so good like this. Was it Brazil, the government there, or something? I mean,
That I can't tell you.
Yeah.
No, I just think it was just something that wasn't tapped into yet. You know, I don't think that it was being kept out of the country or anything like that. I believe this is actually a product of the government of Canada as well. I think it even says it right on there. Yeah. So
the Canadians have it.
lots of governments seem to be taken to it. Yeah. So
So many things have come out of the jungles of Brazil. Can you tell us about some of the things, the other wonderful things that have come out of the jungles down there?
two products that I can think of offhand that are pretty amazing. One would be Peau d'Arco. It's a French word. And basically, it's an antifungal, antiviral, antibacterial herb that really doesn't have much, if any, toxicity. So it actually boosts the liver while it's also helping destroy all these, toxins that are trying to destroy you.
Right.
Which is rare that you have something that has such antibiotic qualities that's not bad for the liver. So again, they also use that for cancer therapies, and I've seen that with lots of people over the years. It's been available here for a long time, and I've used it myself for a long time. That's an amazing herb. And then the other would be cat's claw, and that's patented here. The quality stuff is called cemento, and I've even seen that used in clinics and with doctors for treating Lyme disease and other types of pretty bad bacterial infections, viral infections, and it works. It generally works if you get the good stuff. You got to get the cemento. It's been processed properly. They've taken out the things that can cause problems with the liver, and people can have great success with that product itself.
These, John, are products of the rainforest. Is that where they get why they get their potency, the ingredients, because of the environment that they are in?
It must be.
Untouched?
Yeah, and just, it's been allowed to harvest itself, I guess you could say. The soil seems to be right, the climate, and, obviously the lack of industrialization. So, it hasn't, the soil's not depleted. They're not getting caked with all kinds of, pollution yet.
Yeah.
But the wonderful thing about it is our industry is funding the natives down there and small business to farm this stuff, so that they just don't have to rely on cutting down the forest. So now you can make money farming this, okay, and not doing other things that we don't particularly want them to do either, that some of the cartels might be upset with.
Well, it sounds like if people, check out definitely the acai berry, they're going to jump on that bandwagon, save the rainforest.
Well, that's where we're seeing a connection, where that crowd is getting more people involved through capitalism, which is exactly what needs to happen.
Right.
Real capitalism, and in turn, people down there are creating wealth, they're living better, and they're doing it for the good of all of us. And then, again, we can take advantage. If anybody needs it, this country needs it. We're very unhealthy. We're very, very unhealthy. We need this stuff probably more than they do. So, it's really looking good for all of us.
We're into the winter months, John. Talk a little bit about how things like this can help, and some advice for people out there that maybe are getting, eventually going to get that cabin fever thing.
Well, for the cabin fever, you'd want vitamin D. A lot of modern research, again, even backed by some governments, even ours, believe it or not, vitamin D deficiency, when basically the weather starts to change, is one of the reasons that we have a cold and flu season. It's not necessarily that all these new germs are going around, it's that we're more susceptible because we lost the sunlight. The D levels drop, the immune system drops. So it's not just about bones, which we'd all been brought up to think vitamin D was associated with, which of course it is, but it has a lot to do with the immune system. And again, that's also used cancer therapies and very well tested and studied for the treatment of cancer, prevention of cancer more, I guess I should say. That vitamin D would be a big one this time of year for your cabin fever. And of course, to keep the immune system up, vitamin C, zinc, different herbs. Astragalus, it's not from South America, it's from Asia, but that one also very antiviral, antibacterial, good for the liver. Here in the United States, golden seal's used a lot, echinacea's used a lot. Those are Native American. Golden seal, though, you have to be careful with because it can get hard on the liver, hard on the pancreas. So that one has to be taken very sparsely, where the others you can take, increase the vitamin C. The Mona V has a very high vitamin C, E content, and then with all the bioflavonoids that are in there, that really enhances the vitamin C uptake. So that too would be a cold and flu preventer.
Okay.
And get out and get some fresh air too.
A lot of it's attitude too.
It is. Yeah, if you want to feel miserable because it's cold and you stay inside, the immune system's going to react that way. And you got to get over the gloominess yourself and figure out how to enjoy, the weather the way it is.
Yep.
I grew up in Texas, so if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm used to a lot of sunshine and very little of this.
well, John, one thing for sure, they should check out the acai berry. Gets that mental clarity there.
Yep.
Gets you thinking better, gets you stronger. It's called the Fountain of Youth. One of the 3 top health superfoods out there. John White from Vites and Herbs has been here clearing up some questions on that, telling us all about it. It's the acai berry. It's ACAI with a little doohickey in there. Yeah, a little squiggly. Google it. I Googled it. It's out there, the information. Lots of information in it, and every article I've read, just good things.
Yeah, even Oprah said something good about it.
Well, it's good then.
Oh, yeah.
John White, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it. We have more on the way. It's In Focus, People and Places. Keep it right here.
Hi, this is Nancy Wilson. I'm coming to you from the Lawrence Memorial Library in Bristol, Vermont, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about what's going on the week of December 17th at the library. We will have our regular Monday story time for toddlers at 10:30. That includes stories, a craft, games, and finger plays for kids ages 18 months to 3 years. We will not have a story time on Thursday, the 21st, I believe that is. We'll start a 2-week hiatus from story times because of the holidays. We will be open the whole week, though, as normal. We would like to tell you a little bit about some of our audio books, because I know a lot of people will be traveling in the next week to go to relatives' homes for the holidays. So a really great way to make the trip go more quickly is to take a book on CD. The Red Tent is a really popular book that a lot of people enjoyed reading, which makes a great tape, an audio tape. Appropriate for older children as well as adults. Water for Elephants is one of the most popular books in the past year. It's also great on CD. We have CDs, and we also still have some audio tapes, and those we're phasing out in favor of CDs since most people now have CD players in their cars. Good mysteries, always a good distraction on the road, wherever you may be going, and hopefully it won't be a fine and bitter snow as you drive, but this tape is a good mystery that takes place in Alaska. If you're really ambitious, you might want to learn to speak Spanish on your trip, and these are kind of cool. They're new to us. They're called playaways, and what they are is an MP3 player loaded with an entire book. And this book is Spanish, the Pimsleur Spanish language program, which is really great. This is an individual MP3 player that you do put your own headphones in and listen to it yourself. So if you want to listen to one thing, your kids want to listen to another, you have your own MP3 player. It's a pretty neat thing. You slip it in your pocket, put your headphones in, and learn Spanish in the car or as you walk. And so come in and check out the collection we have of playaways, books on CD, and books on tape. And you can come in when we're open, which is on Monday from 10 until 5, Tuesday and Thursday 10 until 8, Wednesday and Friday 1 to 5, and Saturday 9 to 1. And we are at 40 North Street in Bristol, and our phone number is 453-2366. Thank you.
Back here with Barbara Harding, who is Marketing Director of all that is Addison County Chamber of Commerce related.
Right.
How you doing, Barbara?
I'm great.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
Addison County Chamber, marketing, that's what it's all about.
Partially what it's all about.
I mean, there's much, much more, and we've covered a lot of that on the show before, but today let's focus in on what you do as Marketing Director. you
All right.
market what Addison County has to offer.
Yes.
But it goes much deeper than that. I'm sure there's much more to it than just that boom.
Yes.
You're marketing Addison County. And what
Uh-huh.
goes into that? What goes on a daily basis with you?
Okay. Walk.
Well, you're not prepared for that question?
No, no, I wasn't. So you want me to take you on a day of the life of marketing director of the chamber, right?
Sure, not just a day in the life of Barbara Harding, as that would get too involved.
That would be totally involved.
We don't
right.
need you, doing your hair and nails and all that.
Okay. Well, let's see. It's pretty diverse. Some of the things that I do are our website.
Right.
And so I will try to keep that as current as possible.
I have seen you, glued to your seat in front of your computer,
Yes.
just working away there.
So I'm adding events. I'm never deleting anything, but constantly keeping it fresh as much as possible, and amongst other responsibilities that I have. Working on various publications, online or in print.
And we should mention that the Chamber actually has 2 websites.
We currently do have 2 websites, midvermont.com and addisoncountychamber.com. But we are right now in the process of evaluating all of our products, of our website, our marketing, our branding, our message that we're getting out to the world. We're just starting that process of evaluating it and determining what changes, what
Should
doesn't
you
change.
scale back? Should you tweak this?
Yes.
Rename something?
Right. Is this the direction that we should be going in, or should we look at other ways of marketing, our approach, our
Well,
philosophy?
Barbara, let's touch upon some of those things specifically and go in more depth with them. Somebody calls asking about Addison County. What currently do you tell them? What is is there a theme? I mean,
Well,
what do you tell them about Addison County when somebody
Sure.
asks you?
Well, we're for our tourism portion of the chamber, we've been called historically Mid-Vermont for all seasons. And so we ask them pointed questions. What type of information are they seeking? Are they coming to the area? Do they need specific information? Or are they just trying to decide if they're coming to Vermont for their vacation and they're not sure where they want to base their stay? So we'll send them some information, or we'll direct them to our website.
And I know you're thinking of, as you said, branding, rebranding what that whole approach from Mid-Vermont for all seasons to what else?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mid-Vermont for all seasons, is it just that it's been used too long, or does it not cover enough?
It's pretty much open to interpretation. That's part of the process of trying to determine what is working, what is not working. I mean, just that's the foundation of. But it's also
It works.
It works, right? And that we are physically located in the middle of the state. If you look at it, north, central, and south, but and we are for all seasons. But maybe something more. I don't know. It's we still have to go through that process, but that's what it has been for. As far back as I have researched, and I think it's been in the 70s or even the 60s.
Well, maybe it is time for something new.
Oh, definitely. It's always good to evaluate yourself and decide, is this working or not, and just and have a fresh approach to it.
Now, there may be some people, they see your offices there, they think that you're just the Middlebury Chamber of Commerce, but you
Right.
work with other communities. You
Correct.
primarily, I think, Virgins and Bristol,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of makes up your region there.
Right.
So you're not just thinking about Middlebury, you're thinking about the whole region, the whole county.
Right. Right.
And how do you keep up with everything? I mean, you even have to kind of, I would imagine, tweak your approach to the Middlebury area. Middlebury has been changing a lot lately.
Yeah.
I mean, physically and business-wise.
Right. Downtown.
Downtown, whatever they're calling down to the southern end of town right now, with the new South Village, and you know every day we hear new rumors
that's-
about things thinking of coming into the area and
Right.
and whatnot, and you have to keep up with all that.
Correct.
So
We
that
do.
too probably, you know, your whole thinking about how you're showing us off, what you're telling people, your whole message
Right.
has got to be tweaked all the time, I would imagine.
Right, because the demographics would change
Mhm.
because of the new housing situations and potentials. So yes, we do have to look at that, and also coupling that with Middlebury College and the students and the youth and the
Sure.
parents that are coming in to bring their students or looking at the college. So we have, and then there's of course Bristol with their the arts, the antiques,
Right.
the crafts that they offer, and yeah,
And the same can go for Bristol and Virgins as well.
yes, correct.
I mean, the county as a whole has become more dynamic, more exciting, I think, over the past 10, 15 years. And you've got to be happy about that too.
Yeah, I mean it's part of not only doing business anywhere, but it's also being responsible
Mhm.
and presenting a constant changes, and my philosophy is change is good.
Right, right. Let's talk about the time of year that we're in, the holiday time of year, and,
Yes.
and winter time, and that keeps you busy too. I mean, you know, summer is a busy time for you, definitely. Fall with the leaf peepers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But now you've got a new group coming in, the snowboarders, the skiers,
Mm-hmm.
cross-country skiers, you know.
Yeah.
So what are you telling them?
We have snow. Yay! Which is great because there's some years that we haven't had snow.
Sure, sure.
Right. And so, you know, as talking about changes, our website, it can be as fluid as you want it to be, which is the great thing about the websites. But we're starting to have ski reports. And I noticed this morning I finally got a ski report that says the Snow Bowl has snow. I mean,
That's always helpful.
It's had snow, but now it's starting to advertise that
Right.
they have snow, and so now I can include that. And so that's what
Do
I
you
was.
get lots of calls about ski conditions?
No, not so much. We get people who are inquiring about the Snow Bowl, but we don't really. I don't recall any conversations, but I mean there could have been. But you know, like what are the ski conditions? But they're like, what's the feel at the Snow Bowl? What is the you know, is there nightlife up there and all that?
Is there?
Somewhat, if you're an animal. But you know, that's the glory, I think, of what we are unique because of the Snow Bowl.
It's a family
It's
feel.
a family feel. It's definitely a non nightlife, and that's great.
Yeah.
You know, so we
Other areas have
we
that.
take
We
that.
don't. It's a family kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's a community feel. We've got more of INFOcus, people and places, on the way. Don't touch that dial. Not that you would anyway. We're so dynamic and exciting. We have more coming up that's dynamic and exciting right after these words.
I'm Porter Knight, author of Organized to Last, the book and DVD on staying organized, with your holiday tip on organizing your holiday shopping. Now don't panic if you're looking at this and you haven't already done your holiday shopping, like some of those extremely organized people you know who did it all before school started. There's still a chance for you to have a positive holiday shopping experience. The first thing you want to do is think about who you're buying for and what your budget is. That's your plan. Write it down so you can stay within it. Then choose when you're going to go shopping and take your list with you. And remember, what's important about the holiday season and gift giving is the intention, the thought behind the gift. Emphasize that and not the quantity. You don't have to buy a lot. What you want to do is buy carefully. So keep your plan in mind, who you're shopping for and how much you have to spend. Enjoy the shopping experience and then enjoy the gift giving. Happy holidays.
Jim Moulton, Executive Director of Addison County Transit Resources. We're here on a weekday morning, cold weekday morning at the bus stop. What's going on?
Well, we're going to take a ride on the bus this morning, Jerry, so that folks can see what it's like to ride around town, see where we go, see what we do. So
I hope the bus gets here soon. I'm cold.
Well,
oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Let's go. Good morning. How are you doing? Jim Moulton, we are on the bus.
We are on the bus. With a lot of other people, too.
That's right. So it's busy like this all the time now. You've got to be happy.
I am. It's very satisfying to see that our service is so needed around town and that people really use it actively.
All right. So how long have you been Executive Director of ACTR?
I have been here for, let's see, this is 2008, coming up, almost 6 years.
Wow. And how has things changed in those years that you've been in charge of things?
Well, let's see. The Middlebury shuttle bus was here in place when I got here, and the Tri-Town shuttle bus was also. We've redesigned both of those routes, and ridership has more than doubled on both of those since the redesign. We have partnered with Chittenden County's Transportation Authority in Burlington, and there's now service between Middlebury and Burlington, which didn't exist before. That's a Monday through Saturday service, actually. Monday through Friday is a commuter service run by CCTA, and on Saturdays, ACTR provides service. We have also added service up to the Snow Bowl and Ripton.
I would imagine that that's very busy.
Well, actually, now that there's more than a foot of snow on the ground, it's true. The Snow Bowl opens today. Riker Ski Touring Center has been open this week, and people are going up. So it's very, very popular, of course, during the winter season, but we also have it run on a part-time schedule spring, summer, and fall, and people use it to go hiking on the many trails that are up there as well.
Yeah, it's got to be your best, one of your best routes because of very picturesque.
Yes, it's beautiful up there. I mean, it's one of the wonderful parts about living in Addison County. And we've had tremendous success on that route in terms of how many people use it. Some winters we've even had to actually run 4 buses at the same time because we've had so many people wanting to ride. So it gets kind of tricky with scheduling, but it's also, you know, exciting again to see that people really want to use it, whether it's because they don't have a car themselves, whether it's because they don't want to spend the money on fuel, or whether they just want to reduce their carbon emissions.
For about a year now, you've been heading off to Rutland.
It's true. That's the other new service that's been in place. And you're right. In December of 2006, we launched service between Middlebury and Rutland, a commuter service, Monday through Friday. And we've seen ridership grow very nicely on that as well. More and more people are aware of it. More and more people are using it. We've actually had people tell us specifically that they really appreciate the fact that they don't have to spend money on fuel. You know, it's very expensive to travel that distance, and having a bus available makes a big difference.
Jim, how do you compile these statistics? How do you find out about, you know, get all these numbers that you use?
Well, part of the driver's job is to carry a chart, schedule of all the stops and all the routes. And so every time a person gets on or gets off, the driver marks that down. So
he tabulated us this morning.
He tabulated us this morning. We are 2 more official riders.
Glad to help out.
Excellent. Yes, building ridership, 1 camera at a time. So that's just something that they do as part of their job, and it gives us information not only on the total number of riders, but it also tells us what stops are popular, which ones aren't, what times of day they're popular, which helps us with route planning to make it the most efficient, most effective, and make sure we're serving the right places and not wasting time at places that we don't need to be.
Well, let's talk about, speaking of places to be, we're here at Middlebury College right now. Talk about cooperation with the college, the college use.
College use has also grown significantly over the past 6 years. We have a lot more students riding it. Of course, a popular one is the Snowball shuttle bus for college students. But we also have a lot of usage on the Middlebury shuttle bus from students during the year, from riders here in town. In fact, I know that one of today's passengers is a Middlebury College employee, a regular bus rider. She's been riding actually longer than I've been in town. And then during the summer, the language school students use it. And the college has been very good to us in terms of providing support. One of the things that's not known about public transportation is that approximately 80% of the cost is covered by government grants.
I was going to ask you about the funding. Since these rides are free, you're not making a whole lot of money off of the ridership, but where does that money come from that keeps you going?
Yes, as I said, 80% comes from the federal and state government, and then we're required to provide 20% what's called local match. Now, local match is an interesting concept because if you do collect fares actually don't count as local match. What you do is you take the cost of your services, subtract your fares, and then you get 80% of the remainder. So you still have to raise 20% local match no matter what. And as you mentioned, the bus here is free. All of our in-county services are free. And the main reasons for that are because, one, the amount that we would charge would be relatively small, and the amount of work that would go into collecting those fares, counting those fares, accounting for them for auditing purposes, it would be just as expensive as the amount of money we collected. It really doesn't make sense financially to go through that and do a lot of make work. But on the longer routes, the routes to Rutland and the routes to Burlington, we do charge fares because the amount of money you can charge on that for a long distance ride is enough to start to make up for the cost of administering them. So, but the college is one of our partners that does provide local match funds to help keep the systems on the road, and it makes an enormous difference. We couldn't have the service without supporters like the college. Woo! We're going through the construction zone at the college right now, which is why we're bouncing up and down. As people may know,
this is going to be the bumpiest interview I've ever done.
Well, the college is putting in a new biomass heating system, and so they're tearing up a section of their road. So,
well, talk about how the buses have changed over the years.
When I first got here, most of our buses were actually 10-passenger pop-top vans, the ones with the kind of pushed-up roofs. And we only had 2 buses that were larger. Now we don't have any 10-passenger pop-top vans. All of our buses are either 14-seat or 20-seat vehicles because ridership has grown so much. And in January, we'll actually be taking delivery on our first 28-seat passenger bus. Because, as I mentioned, the Snowball bus, as an example, has been very popular. It's not efficient for us to send 4 separate drivers and 4 separate buses if we can cut some of that down by having a larger bus that can take more people.
And what about storage area, like skis and, bags?
Well, we have bike racks on the front of all our buses, which can carry 2 bikes, which is very helpful. As far as skis and snowboards, people have to bring them on inside. We did have on our first bus for that route some outside ski storage racks, but we found that the technology has advanced in skis so that they don't fit very well in the racks. Now, you'd think that somebody would design racks that would take on the new technology, but that hasn't happened quite yet. So people bring them inside. They usually stick them either in front of their knees in their seats or put them in the way back. As you can see behind us, there's some additional space that they can lay their skis on the floor. So
that's great, Jim, that you are upgrading yet again.
It's true. It's just another reflection of how much the service has grown and how many people are using it. As I mentioned earlier, there's so many pressures on people. Vermont, as we know, can be an expensive state to live in. People have a limited amount of resources, and if they can save money in their lives by not having to own a car, or maybe a family can get away with only one car because a bus system exists, that's driving people to ride the bus. Fuel prices in general, carbon emissions, awareness of global warming. So there are lots of reasons, and as every individual rider comes on and becomes a consistent rider, the need for larger buses with more seats grows.
How much work do you do with Montpelier to, the legislature as far as transportation, public transportation goes?
Quite a bit, actually. One of my side roles is that I'm currently the chair of the Vermont Public Transportation Association. It's the trade association for all the providers around the state. We meet monthly to get together and talk about issues, share expertise, share knowledge. But one of the activities also is to go to Montpelier every legislative session and educate the legislators about what's going on in public transportation around the state, what the needs are in order to keep services on the road, any challenges we might be facing, such as fuel prices, which not only drive people to ride us, but of course dramatically affect our budgets. So I actually spend a fair amount of time up in Montpelier during the first 3 to 4 months of the year, meeting with various legislators and the transportation committees to make sure that they have the information they need to make good decisions about public transportation for Vermonters.
That's where all that statistics comes helpful.
Absolutely, and we're obviously not unique in that every provider around the state collects those statistics, tracks their ridership, and they use the statistics for the same reasons, to make sure their service is efficient, economical, and planned the best it can be.
Where does Addison County rank? I know, obviously Burlington is probably the largest. You got Rutland, Montpelier, Barre, all those. Well, where does Middlebury come in?
Well, it depends on, I guess, how you might rate it. As you mentioned, Burlington being an urban area has the most ridership. Rutland the second most because of their size as well. So definitely the size of the community makes a difference in terms of total ridership. But there are also things that are measured, such as how many rides per hour and what the cost per trip is and things like that. And here in Addison County, particularly over the last 3 or 4 years, we've ranked very well in the state in terms of being efficient. We have a relatively low cost per passenger. We have a relatively high ridership per hour. So we've done well, and we've improved on those statistics every year, which is also very satisfying. And we've also found the state has done some various studies comparing our information in Vermont to statistics around the country, and Vermont is on the upper edge of that as well. So it's something that Vermonters need and something that Vermonters use.
Jim Moulton, are you at the pinnacle of where you would like to be? I mean, you've got all these routes. You've got Rutland, Burlington, the Tri-Town Shuttle. You've got all of this going right now. How much more could you do? I mean, are there still routes that you would like to develop? As far as buses go, things that you'd like to see changed?
Well, we tend to try to respond to what the community is looking for, as opposed to just putting into place what we think should happen. And so I guess the answer to that is yes, there is still more to be done out there. You mentioned the Tri-Town Shuttle, which currently goes from Middlebury to Bristol to Vergennes and then returns that route. So Vergennes riders have to go through Bristol every time, which is not the most convenient way to ride, but it's what we can afford to put on the road right now. But we've heard a lot of feedback from Vergennes residents that they really would like to have direct service, and a lot more Vergennes people would ride the bus if they had that option. So that's one thing that we'd like to do, is be able to split that service so that Bristol gets direct service, Vergennes gets direct service, and they also have service between the two. Many businesses in the county are having a tough time finding enough employees, and many employees actually come across from New York State, across the Champlain Bridge. We've had a lot of businesses come to us and ask if we could put commuter service in, because it's a long way. It can be expensive for those employees to drive here. So that's another opportunity for expanded service. Out Route 30 to Cornwall and Orwell, we've had requests for service there. So there are lots of communities that want increased bus service, and we're looking to be able to respond to that. But it's always a question of funding, and that gets back to educating legislators about what the demands are and what the costs are for putting those services into place.
We've got more on the way. It's In Focus, People and Places. Touring Middlebury on an ACTR bus this morning. We'll be right back.
Recycling has become part of our everyday lives, and we've come a long way since the days of throwing out valuable recyclable material with our trash. Remember that all kinds of paper can be recycled, along with your plastic, metal, and glass containers. Of course, there can be such a thing as too much recycling, but most of us still aren't doing enough. For more information, call your local solid waste district or call the Vermont Recycling Hotline at 1-800-932-7100.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's edition of In Focus, People and Places. I'm Jerry Germain. We always want to encourage you to contact us. We have contact information at infocusontv.com. And while you're there, emailing us, check out past shows, current shows, information on upcoming shows, little previews, and information on everything you could possibly want to know about the world of InFocus, People and Places. Again, infocusontv.com. Want to thank John White from Vites and Herbs for joining us today, telling us all about that very interesting berry, the acai berry from South America. It just might improve your life, so check it out. Barbara Harding from the Chamber. She was here telling us all about marketing. Want to thank Barbara for coming in. And last but certainly not least, Jim Moulton for taking us on that little bus tour of Middlebury and taking us on a tour of the world of Addison County Transit Resources, Addison County's free public transportation system. I want to thank him for all he's doing for us out there and for being on the show with us today. And again, want to thank you for tuning in. And definitely, you won't want to miss next week's show. It's our annual holiday extravaganza. We're going to celebrate the season as only In Focus, People and Places can. You won't want to miss it. Happy holidays, everyone. Next week, well, we're going to lay the holidays on you. Fast and furious, hot and heavy. Right here on In Focus, People and Places. Again, I'm Jerry Germain. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, take care.